Well, I certainly hope we give them a little more room to be able to strike at Russian targets and be able to defend themselves. So I'm hopeful that they can find a way to give Ukraine a little more flexibility to be able to go after those vital targets that are frankly attacking Ukraine without any kind of retaliation. That's got to stop.
Should they be allowed to shoot down MiGs that are taking off in Russia armed to attack Ukraine?
Well, again, I think it's important to give them the ability to fully defend themselves. If those MiGs are going after targets in Ukraine, then I think they should take steps to be able to defend themselves against that kind of attack. Look, this is a war, and Russia is using everything they have to be able to go after Ukraine. And I think it's our responsibility and the responsibility of our allies to be able to make sure that Ukraine is fully armed, has all of the weapons that are necessary in order to fully defend themselves in this war.
Well, it's something. The air raid sirens we know go off in Kyiv the minute those MiG-31s take off, loaded for bear. Mr. Secretary, I'm sure you watched the debate the other night. There were a lot of questions about what would happen to Ukraine policy if Donald Trump were reelected. He was asked repeatedly, and we can share this moment of the debate with our audience, whether he even wants Ukraine to win. Here's how it went.
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are.
Mr. Secretary, you can weigh in on what you think a Trump 2.0 might mean for Ukraine, but we hear from a lot of Trump supporters who say, you know what, no new war has started when he was in office and the world was a safer place. How do you respond?
Well, I think that if you're going to be a world leader, you have to stand up to our enemies. You have to stand up to tyrants and to terrorists. And you have to build strong alliances. And that's not what Trump is about. Trump thinks that somehow he can operate alone and cut deals. I mean, the fact that he would not say that Ukraine should be successful at defending their democracy tells you an awful lot about the way he approaches these issues. And it's basically appeasement. It's capitulating to our adversaries. And that's not a way to promote peace in the future. Yeah, it could get you peace in the short term. I mean, he said he can basically cut deals on all of the crises that we are facing right now. Yeah, he could by simply caving in and letting our adversaries get everything they want. That's an approach, frankly, that Neville Chamberlain tried with Hitler in Czechoslovakia. Wow. And in the end, it didn't pay off then, and it won't pay off now. So I would prefer a president that is willing to stand up to our adversaries, build strong alliances, and exercise responsible world leadership. And that's not what Trump does. He didn't do it in his first term, and he wouldn't do it as another president.
Well, you know, he likes to take credit for encouraging, incentivizing European nations to contribute more to NATO, for instance. What would happen to that alliance under a Trump 2.0?
I'm just afraid that deep down, Trump, and he's pretty much said it, is an isolationist. He wants to withdraw from the rest of the world and basically handle things on his own. And my view is that we live in a dangerous world that requires United States world leadership, and it requires our ability to work closely with our allies. That's the key to being able to confront tyrants and terrorists in the world. And so I just worry that what he would try to do is basically weaken our relationship with our allies, try to operate alone. And look, the record is not that good. I mean, he spent 3 meetings sitting down with Kim Jong Un and didn't get a damn thing. So I'm not that encouraged that he knows how to cut a good deal.
How well do you know Vice President Harris, Mr. Secretary? Her experience has been called into question by her rival in this case. Does she have the confidence to run the United States military?
I think she does. I've known her since she was a prosecuting attorney. I knew her as district attorney and as attorney general. And I find her to be a pragmatic prosecutor, which is not a bad thing to be when you're going to be president of the United States and have to deal with challenges and look at the evidence involved with each of those challenges and crises. So I have a feeling, based on what I saw her do as vice president, meeting with foreign leaders, understanding the crises that are out there, understanding the role that the United States has to play, and most importantly, respecting not just the role of our veterans, which Trump continues to criticize, but understanding the role of our military. The role of our military is to defend us from foreign enemies. It's not to threaten Americans. It's not to round up immigrants into camps. Our military has its first loyalty to the Constitution of the United States, not to the president.
I have to ask you about what's happening in the Middle East before we let you go, Mr. Secretary. There's news that the U.S. is bringing the USS Teddy Roosevelt home. We had a rare moment where 2 carrier strike groups were in the region for fear that Iran would retaliate. Does this tell us that that threat level has diminished so much that we don't need the deterrence any longer?
No, not at all. And my understanding is that the Harry Truman carrier is going to be deployed to that area soon. And I think we will continue to have to provide the military protection in that region, particularly if there's no ceasefire. We're going to continue to see missiles thrown at one another. And the United States has got to be prepared to defend against those missiles, particularly in the Red Sea, where the Houthis have continued to go after ships in the Red Sea. So I believe we'll continue to have a strong presence in the Middle East.